Let's keep this one nice and simple. If you want to have a happy, long life in the Doctor Who universe, try not to get called out in a prophecy. With that in mind, I'm Sean Ferrick for Who Culture, and here is Doctor Who, every prophecy in the show, explained. Number 11. The Prophecy of the Voice. The Kinda is a primitive tribe of humanoids encountered by the 5th Doctor and his TARDIS gang. Early on in this serial, which is aptly named Kinda, we learn that the Kinda may possess some form of telepathy, because, as Dr. Todd notes, they can't speak. However, Todd's assessment isn't entirely accurate. Some Kinda members can and do talk, such as the young girl Karuna, who at one point mentions a prophecy. Prophecy teaches that, at the beginnings of things, when the not we are come, a man will arise from among we who has the gift of voice, and so must be obeyed. Sounds like a load of mumbo jumbo, but the meaning here is quite simple. Not we refers to any outsiders who are not Kinda, like the Doctor and his companions. We, on the other hand, refers to the people who are Kinda. This prophecy appears to have come true when the male Kinda member Aris finds his voice, literally, and starts talking like he's in charge. But since he's actually possessed by the sinister Mara, the prophecy ultimately amounts to nothing. Number 10. The Prophecy of the Gods. The Time Lord non-interference policy is something that the Doctor regularly waves two fingers at, even though it's basically a law. It stipulates that Time Lords should only observe the events of the universe and never interfere with them directly. The 4th Doctor brings up the origins of the policy in the serial Underworld, when he encounters a group of minions aboard the R1C spacecraft. Early on in Minion history, they met the Time Lords, who possessed advanced technology that allowed them to travel in space and time. Because of this, the minions viewed the Time Lords as gods, so the Time Lords offered to help them in return. They gave the minions better technology, greatly accelerating their development as a civilization. That might sound good on paper, but tragically, the minions couldn't handle this sudden burst of power, and they eventually destroyed themselves. However, this Time Lords are gods standpoint is something that rippled through minion society down the centuries, eventually becoming a mythical prophecy that minion slave, Idus, relays to the 4th Doctor. There's a prophecy among the slaves that one day gods will come and set us free. Are you a god? The serial strongly hints that the gods in this prophecy are indeed Time Lords. When you consider that the minions once regarded the Time Lords as this higher, almost religious power, that does make sense. Number 9. The Prophecy of the Bad Wolf. We see and hear the words Bad Wolf on many occasions throughout the first series of New Who, whether they're graffitied onto the side of the TARDIS or given as the code name for a descending helicopter, as seen in Dalek. Missable Easter eggs aside though, there's one particular scene in which the phrase is used in a clear prophetic manner. In The Unquiet Dead, the 9th Doctor and Rose Tyler meet a lady called Gwyneth, who possesses psychic abilities. During a conversation with Rose, Gwyneth reads her mind, getting hints of a mysterious darkness and a sinister big bad wolf. You've flown so far, further than anyone. The things you've seen, the darkness, the big bad wolf. This doesn't make much sense at the early stage in the series, but in the finale, the Bad Wolf is revealed in all its glory. It's Rose herself, wielding superhuman powers after staring into the heart of the TARDIS. With these powers, she comes to the Doctor's aid, vanquishing the Daleks and resurrecting Captain Jack. The Bad Wolf then scatters those iconic words throughout space and time, which explains why they appear throughout the series. We can also assume that Gwyneth's psychic powers allowed her to sense this, which led to her delivering that prophecy. Number 8. The Prophecy of POMPEII. The 10th Doctor's final run of adventures was chock full of prophecies, kicking off the 2nd episode in Series 4, The Fires of Pompeii. Quite a few characters in the story carry the gift of prophecy, mainly thanks to the presence of fiery aliens called the Pyroviles, as well as a rift in time. Evelina, Lucius Petrus Dexterus, and the Sibylline Sisterhood all make various predictions, some of them contained to the episode, and some of them hinting at wider series arcs. I can see a choice. Someone must make a choice. The most terrible choice. For the latter, Lucius ominously tells the Doctor that she is returning, and then informs Donna that there's something on your back, both of which come true at the end of the series, when Rose Tyler returns from the parallel world she was previously trapped in, and Donna gets her own personal Time Beetle backpack. As for the episode's centric prophecies, the Sisterhood foretold that a blue box would arrive at the time of storms and fire and betrayal, a reference to the Doctor's TARDIS showing up just before the eruption of Vesuvius. You can interpret the betrayal as part of that prophecy in several ways, though an intriguing one is that it refers to the 10th Doctor betraying the laws of time by saving the lives of Caecilius and his family. Evelina then notes that a terrible choice must be made, accurately depicting the Doctor's awful dilemma: let the Pyroviles conquer the world, or blow up the volcano to stop them, destroying Pompeii and its citizens in the process. Number 7. The Prophecy of the DOCTORDONNA. One fascinating power that the Ood possess is their telepathy, a strong ability which we've seen them use on a few different occasions. When the 10th Doctor and Donna freed the Ood from enslavement on the planet of the Ood, we see this telepathy in action. Ood Sigma prophesies the end of the Doctor's life by saying, "Your song must end soon," and then he mentions the DOCTORDONNA, foreshadowing a tragic turn of events that occurs at the end of Series 4. And know this, DOCTORDONNA, you will never be forgotten. Our children will sing of the DOCTORDONNA, and our children's children, and the wind and the ice and the snow will carry your names forever. The DOCTORDONNA is a human Time Lord hybrid that is created when regeneration energy from the 10th Doctor's severed hand, which was chopped off during the Christmas invasion, merges with Donna, giving her the mind of a Time Lord. While Donna enjoyed heightened intelligence for a while, the Time Lord part of her soon began to overload, forcing the Doctor to wipe her mind in order to save her. Interestingly, Ood Sigma also notes that every song must end, so, on top of predicting the creation of the DOCTORDONNA, he may also have seen its demise. Number 6. The Prophecy of the Children of Time. Dalek Khan was a unique psychic Dalek, gaining the gift of foresight after an emergency temporal shift, which we saw him perform at the end of Evolution of the Daleks, blasted him back into the middle of the Time War itself. From here, Khan became a prophecy-spewing machine, able to read the future and see the events to come, giving him an advantage over everyone else in the room. In the Stolen Earth, he predicts the arrival of the Threefold Man, a reference to the three versions of the Doctor that combine forces later in this story: the 10th Doctor, the Meta-Crisis Doctor, and the DOCTORDONNA. He also envisions the formation of the Children of Time, who will pose a threat to the Daleks. The Children of Time is a heroic team that consists of many of the Doctor's friends, such as Sarah Jane Smith, Captain Jack Harkness, and Martha Jones, all of whom unite to stop Davros on his reality bomb. "This I have foreseen in the wild and the wind. The Doctor will be here as witness at the end of everything. The Doctor and his precious Children of Time, and one of them will die." However, Khan doesn't just predict the group's formation, he also predicts one of them will die. The prediction later comes true when the DOCTORDONNA dies and Donna returns to her normal old self. Khan wasn't foretelling a death in the physical sense, but the death of the soul, of the mind, the death of the DOCTORDONNA. Number 5. The Prophecy of the Gate. As previously mentioned, prophecies were flying at the 10th Doctor left, right and centre during his final run of adventures, so much so that he couldn't even escape when he appeared outside Doctor Who. This is the case in Series 3 of the Sarah Jane adventures, where 10 comes face to face with the Trickster, a devious villain who possesses some level of clairvoyance. During a tense confrontation between the pair, the Trickster warns the Doctor that the Gate is waiting for him, which is a reference to the Immortality Gate seen in David Tennant's final story, The End of Time. And who are you, the man who has lost everybody, to talk to me of loneliness when the Gate is waiting for you? It's radiation from the Immortality Gate that ends up forcing the Doctor to regenerate, meaning that the Trickster's prophecy was foretelling Ten's death. And, speaking of Ten's death, Number 4. The Prophecy of the Four Knocks. As he got closer to his brush with the Immortality Gate, the 10th Doctor had an adventure on the sandy planet of San Helios, along with a group of civilians. One of the civilians was Carmen, a nice old lady who had a penchant for randomly spouting out disturbing prophetic statements. This is because of her mild precognitive powers, which allowed her to sense future events. One of these events was the end of the Doctor's life, as foretold in her prophecy. "Your song is ending, sir. It is returning. It is returning through the dark. And then, Doctor, oh, but then, he will knock 4 times. He will knock 4 times, she tells him, with no further details given. Still, it's clear that she's referring to the person who will kill the Doctor, a prophecy that almost comes true in the waters of Mars when an infected human gets to 3 knocks. We then learn that the prophecy was indeed referring to the Doctor's killer, but, in a cruel twist, it's actually one of his friends. Wilfred Mott, trapped inside a radiation booth, taps on the glass 4 times and asks the Doctor to help him. The Doctor is then forced to swap places with Wilf, leading to the radiation poisoning that causes his regeneration. Number 3. The Prophecy of the Silence. One of the best things about the 11th Doctor's era was the entire thing fits together as one giant story arc, with some of the mysteries in his very first episode not being fully explained until his last. In that first episode, the 11th Hour, we hear Prisoner Zero mention that silence will fall, and the true meaning of that line wasn't completely explored until the final stages of Eleven's life. In Season 6, we learned that the Silence is a religious order, one with a seemingly sinister intent. Then, in the finale episode, the severed head of Dorian Maldivar mentions a prophecy reiterating that silence must fall, while also warning the Doctor about Trenzalore and something called the Question. On the fields of Trenzalore, at the fall of the 11th, when no living creature can speak falsely or fail to answer, a question will be asked. A question that must never, ever be answered. Silence must fall. Fans then had to wait over 2 years for all of this to be explained in Eleven's aforementioned last episode, The Time of the Doctor. Here, the Doctor discovers a crack in the fabric of reality, through which the Time Lords are attempting to return to his universe. To make sure it's safe to do so, the Time Lords broadcast the question, Doctor Who, enveloped in a truth field to ensure that the Doctor will answer without lying. If the Doctor gives his name, they'll know that they found the right place, enabling them to return. We see that the formation of the Silence, a group that's determined to prevent the Doctor from speaking his name. If the Time Lords return, all hell will break loose, so in a way you could view the Silence as the good guys, since they're attempting to prevent full-scale war. They have questionable methods, but good intent. Ultimately, the Silence primary objective is completed. The Doctor doesn't answer the question, and the Time Lords don't return, and war is prevented. Prophecy fulfilled. Number 2, the prophecy of the hybrid. In Series 9, we heard countless mentions of something called the hybrid, a creature that would, one day, stand in the ruins of Gallifrey, or so the prophecies say. According to Davros, the prophecy of the hybrid originated on the Doctor's home world, with the Time Lords growing rather concerned about the hybrid's arrival. Understandable, since Gallifrey's destruction was also part of the equation. There was a prophecy, Doctor, on your own world. It spoke of a hybrid creature, 2 great warrior races forced together to create a warrior greater than either. Determined to find out more about the hybrid, Rassilon took the desperate step of trapping the 12th Doctor within his confession dial, hoping to learn some information about the creature. However, the plan backfired spectacularly. Instead of helping the Time Lords, the Doctor instead became really cheesed off, returning to Gallifrey and overthrowing Rassilon. Smooth as you like. The hybrid then took a backseat in the narrative, and by the end of the series, its identity still hadn't been made clear, but there are many possible candidates who fit the bill. On one occasion, the Doctor claimed that he was the hybrid, while another account claimed that it was some sort of half Time Lord, half Dalek. Another option is the part human, part Meyer Ashilder, or the Series 12 Master, who literally stood in the ruins of Gallifrey and also merged himself with Cyberman tech. Elsewhere, former showrunner Stephen Moffat has signalled that he intended the hybrid to be the dangerous pairing of Doctor and Clara, though it's never explicitly confirmed in the show. Number 1. The prophecy of the arrival. Towards the end of Doctor Who's underrated spin-off, Class, we heard various characters in the show speak of something called the Arrival. These characters talked about the Arrival with great reverence, like it was a sacred, almost religious event. The very end of the final episode teases what it might be, with iconic Doctor Who baddies the Weeping Angels showing up in a surprise cameo, working with a group of humans called the Governors. The Governor's leader then tells the Angels that we will be ready for the Arrival, and we get a glimpse of a stone tablet depicting a giant angel towering above London. This setback is temporary. We will be ready for the Arrival. Oh yes, we will be ready for that glorious day. Unfortunately, Class was cancelled before more information could be revealed about this cliffhanger, but the creator of the show has teased that Series 2 would have involved the Angels' homeworld and an Angel civil war. So, perhaps this group of Angels that is working with the Governors has broken away from the rest of their race, leading to a battle between 2 different clans of Angels. Or maybe the giant angel in the tablet is meant to be taken literally. We've seen an enormous angels before, the Statue of Liberty, so the Arrival could simply mean the arrival of a massive angel. Seems a bit silly, but this is Doctor Who after all. Due to the lack of a proper Class follow-up, all we can do is speculate. And that's everything for our list today. If you reckon we've missed any prophecies, please drop them into the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and remember that you can catch us over on Twitter at WhoCulture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick as well. Look after yourself, look after everybody, and remember, keep things wibbly wobbly. Thanks guys.